All right, all right, all right. I see everyone's grabbing their seats. This is what happens when I don't have Corey to vamp while I'm doing all this. No, we're good. Boom. No, we're groovy. All right, all right, all right. Hey, Travis. Gotta love investors. Have a seat. All right, all right, all right. Welcome to Grid Knoxville. We are so glad you're here today. We are talking about show me the money, where to find the money in an investment deal, and how to be the private bank. So, who's here at Grid for their very first time? Awesome, awesome. Take a look around. Keep those hands up. Like, this is a networking event. If they're new, you remember what it was like when you were new here. Tell them hi, connect with them. If you're new here, don't leave without grabbing one of us. Right? We're happy to get you plugged in here. The reason why we run this thing is because we know relationships will take you places that money never will. It's certainly been our experience. Like the most valuable things I have are my Rolodex. And I think that's why we run this thing is because we know that the most valuable currency we have is social capital. Anybody feel like the world's getting a little more disconnected? Right? You know, when I go to these conferences, I travel around the country. What do we talk about? Like I see some keynote themes. And we talk about the importance of community, the importance of connection, right? Authenticity. And so I just think like, right, being connected in community is a killer edge, forming close relationships, right? And typically when I see investors go sideways, occasionally I see people get scammed by some sort of charismatic guru talking about status, right? Like a sociopath, just fronting that way. Usually it's because they don't ask questions. It's because they're coming to talk to us. There's some professionals in the room, some lenders, some investors, and it's too late. You already bought the deal without the inspection. You didn't get anyone to look at the foundation. And so I just find like living in community, sharing my experiences, you're going to go farther faster. All right. I'm going to figure out what's going on with this presentation. We can get started. Oh. There we go. Look at that sick graphic. All right, all right, all right. There we go. Who's got a win tonight? Who's got something that they're celebrating? Paola, what do you got for us?
Well, I just met a lovely lady here, and I'm gonna, try to.
I love it. Paola's taking all the deals in the room. She's a shark. Fantastic. Keep up. Who else has a win this month? Anybody buy a property for the first time? Anybody closed on anything? Anybody celebrating anything? Everyone's sad. Bunch of sad investors. Nothing's going right. What's up, Dan? Money's the easy part, baby. Money is the easy part. Deals are the hard part. Money's easy. Dan, what are you celebrating? Yeah, ironically, Dan can't let you hold $20. He's a private money lender. So hit him up if the sad folks apparently don't have money. Yeah, if that's what's making you sad, we got solutions. Tim, what's up, man? I love this one. Tim, which one is how many have you done? So this is like your second build, and you've done some flips before. How many flips have you done? Just the one, because you hold everything is what it is, right? Yeah. So we're starting to branch out a little bit because you want to hold it all. Yes. It's the opposite of our wholesales. Yes, Carly. Let's go. Success leaves clues. So Carly came up to me. She was talking to me on the front end, and she said, "Who should I talk to in the room that has some capital? I want to run a play." You hear the kind of success she's having here, where I come in here, I do the legwork, we buy property, we subdivide property, we resell the property. So if somebody has some capital, came here because they want to be the private bank, might want to have a conversation with Carly today. Fantastic. We got a couple wins. So we've added 3 agents through their first 30 days. We got Amanda. You met RJ out front. Paola here. Everybody is into production. And what I'm real proud about is, where's Vernon hiding? Paul, where you at? He's out front, hanging out. So when Vernon comes back, Vernon is right now our top salesperson on the team, which is cool because if you've met Vernon before, Vernon has been an agent for like 30 years. But on the property management side, has a really successful 7-figure property management business, mid-term rentals, short-term rentals, does a little coaching, and got back into sales. So that's just really cool. Glad to see it, proud to see it. Want to celebrate him. He's an awesome guy. All right. If you are new here, we got a couple different vendors in here. So if you're brand new here, we stopped going through the entire room because we didn't have enough time. But if you're new here and you've got something that you want to promote, who are you? I see a couple of names here. What do you do, sir? Awesome. What's your name? Javon, getting into new construction as an investor, as a contractor, as a developer. Fantastic. Great. So you're looking for capital partners. You're looking for builders. Okay. Fantastic. Great. You need architects. Are we at the beginning of the journey or are you a little farther in? Fantastic. Good. I got someone you have to meet. Great. I saw a couple other new faces there. Jeremy, introduce yourself. Awesome, right? And the reason I always want to highlight this stuff, and no one wants to gloat, is like the middle steps are the important steps. By the time you see somebody like on stage, I was talking about this. We're hosting an event next week, and I'm interviewing one of the speakers, and she's been in the industry 14 years. And I was like, yeah, when you've been doing it 20 years, it's easy to make it sound like you know what you're doing. It's the middle stuff where you need the person that's like, oh, walk me through. I just closed a deal last week and I'm relatively new. Like, how did I do it? I think that's really valuable. So don't discount yourself. Don't sell yourself short. Like, you got a lot to add some value to. Mr. Wilson, where are you at? Yes, sir. Yep. He's got plumbing and puns. I like it. Cool. Awesome. Skylar says restoration. So I'm getting, what do you do, my friend?
Yeah, Skylar talked with Restoration One. We kind of help with the boo-boos, the uh-ohs, but I think something that we can really help with in the immediate is smoke odor, cigarette smoke odor in a home. So if any flippers are doing homes and they have that nasty smell, we can go in there and get it out without necessarily having to repaint that home.
Oh, that's a great resource. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean any odor. Yeah, deodorization. Yeah.
Okay. Fantastic. Greg, what brings you in today? Excellent. Fantastic. So you're going to start flipping. I love it. I'm glad you're here. We're going to talk about where to find the money. All right, real fast. Who are we? Why do we run this group? What do we want to accomplish? My name is Justin Myers. My partner, Corey King, is in Fort Lauderdale right now. Corey is at a conference called Lead Up. Lead Up is for 150 people. It's a real intimate elite conference for brokerage owners and mega team owners. And so he's down there. We invest a lot of time in being in the rooms with the best people we can find in the country so we can come back here, because I know I couldn't always go travel and do these things. That's why we do this stuff. There's going to be a slide here. I'll talk about an event we're doing next week if you're an agent in the business. But if you're an agent, get with Corey next week. He's going to come home with a library full of stuff we can't put into practice in our business right now. I run a real estate sales team called Casa Knoxville along with Corey. So we want to help your family, you, anyone with regular residential sales. We also specialize in working with investors just like yourself. We're rolling out a new homes division, thanks to Amanda Veribs back there, who came over from launching a division for a builder here and is building one for us. So everyone here that wants to, right, start building, work with builders, network, we're building out that entire infrastructure to help you plug in. We'd love to represent you on the sales side, but also if you need some sort of access on that front end, we've got some great tools, and we've got the national head of our division coming in next week on the new homes division to sit down with us and partner with us. So just want to make sure we're adding some resources for you. So why do I do this? If you are in the room and you're very experienced and you have lots of money, hi, let's be friends. Let's do deals together, right? If you are brand new, welcome. You're in the right place. Here's what we believe. If we empower you with education and resources at a hyper-local level, if you have a cohort, then you can go through that psychological change that's necessary to become an entrepreneur and investor. If I've been an employee, it's not easy, right? Often people in our world don't understand it. If they're more security focused, like safety focused, they're not always going to be encouraging. Sometimes that's good, sometimes that's bad. But if we put you in that place, if we give you the education, if we give you a community, if we give you the resources, you're going to be empowered to take action. So we're glad that you're here. Come until you're ready to take action, until you feel comfortable. Ask tons of questions, right? Because we want you eventually to get to the place where you can do deals with us, right? And we're going to be here to help you. So that's why I run this community. That's why I think it's important. All right. It's not as fun without Corey, y'all. I really miss him. There's no one. I would have made him laugh like 3 times by now. If you don't know Corey, actually, let's sell Corey short. Corey is a restaurateur, owner, operator, father of 3 under 6. He is a maniac. Corey took 67 listings last year. He is a workaholic, right? So if you want to see what it looks like to get there through hard work and determination, you want to talk to Corey. If you're the personality hire, talk to me. And I will show you how to just charm your way into a career. It's worked pretty well for me. No, Corey's a really incredible entrepreneur and active in the arena, flipping some houses. He is a deal junkie. Awesome. Hey, so this is something, I finally got this set up today. Had to go through like the proper authorizations with the company, so I'm not spamming you. If you've ever missed a great event that you actually wanted to come to, scan that, sign it up. There's a service called Textedly. You'll just get maybe 4 reminders a month of just like, hey, Grids tonight, don't forget it. By the way, here's the streaming link. Hey, coffee is tomorrow, right? That's all we're going to send is just event reminders. If you want all the other stuff, that's in our newsletter. So you can sign up for the newsletter. You just go to gridknoxville.com. And you can sign up there and you'll get our newsletter that has the recording of this event. That's got some investor education. We send out some market information. And typically we send out some deals in there as well. So you sign up for the newsletter, but this is just going to be so you get text reminders. Yeah. And I'm looking for feedback. So let me know how we could do it better. But I'll be the one sending those out so you shouldn't get spammed. We have an Investing 101 event coming up Saturday, April 11th. So if you're sitting in here and I'm brand new and I want to learn how to flip, Investing 101 is really great. If you've been doing this for a while, Investing 101 is really great. If I can't articulate like what my investing strategy is, what's my thesis about investing? Do I have clarity on like the amount of reserves I should have on a personal level, on a business level for each of my investments? And do I have kind of a cohesive strategy on how like I am going out and investing and then hedging my risk and my liability? We cover all of that. I think it's one of the most important classes that we do. Travis back there teaches it. Trav, raise your hand. All right, our Raging Cajun. Trav, when are we cooking? When's the season? We're gonna cook some crawfish this year? I know you did. You were down in the bayou. He was down in Homa. Yeah, so that is at our office, eSpaces. So the other reason why we do these text messages is because all of our events are at different locations. So that can be helpful so you don't miss out. Meetup is the best way. If you're ever curious about an event, can't find it, looking for the Facebook, Meetup always has the accurate information. You can click right there. It'll give you directions, all that stuff. Cool. We're almost done. We'll get into this. Coffee, Donuts, and Deals. Anybody made a good connection at Coffee, Donuts, and Deals? Lance, you met anyone interesting at Coffee, Donuts, and Deals? Yes. So we do a coffee meetup at You Brew Coffee on the 3rd Friday. That's Friday, April 17th. And then next week, if you are an agent get with us. We're hosting a rally for EXP at the Crown Plaza downtown. There's a happy hour the night before, so if you want to network with any agents, we've got 150 people coming from the region into town here. So if that's something that's relevant to you, if you're a vendor that would like to meet with agents, happy to make some introductions for you. I am emceeing and coordinating the whole thing, so I can make it happen. This is going to be really great. If you are an agent, we're going to talk about wealth building through community partnerships, recruiting. How do I partner with commercial and business brokers to add ancillary income? It'll be a really good day. Pretty proud of the lineup here. And our boy Rob Chavez, founder of Grid, will be in town. So if you want to come hang out on a Tuesday, talk to Rob. Rob is one of the smartest entrepreneurs I've ever met. Good time. Last one, GridCon. Amanda just got her ticket. Grid is during a national conference June 1st, June 2nd. The second is a VIP day. Take a look at the lineup. Pretty ridiculous. Grid is national, 25 locations across the country, 30,000 members. Highly recommend looking into that. I think today might be the last day of early bird. It was something ridiculous, like 35% off tickets. They're still really inexpensive. All right. Let's talk about where to find the money. We're skipping all this stuff. Okay, we're talking about money. I am not a lender. Don't sue me, right? Investing is not the way to solve your money problems. Investing is the reward you get for fixing your money problems. We shouldn't be investing money that we don't have to invest. Now, if I'm in here to build an active cash machine through wholesaling or flipping or building or something like that, fantastic, right? I make a living selling real estate. Nick makes a living doing loans. Like those are all fantastic things. They're not the same as building wealth necessarily, although it can be if I have a great business. The state just wants you to know, as a realtor, I am not an expert, right, on all those things. So trust but verify. Talk to licensed experts. My other advice for investors. Get inspections. Call surveyors, right? Let's not be penny wise and pound foolish. Cool. All right. You guys want to come up here? I need some folks to play with. Nick, come on up. Nick Galbraith with Foundation Mortgage. Put your hands together. Let's see.
Check. Yep. Oh, you do have to hold it very, very close, don't you?
Very, very. That's why I'm like right here, right under.
So just to introduce myself, I've been in the mortgage brokerage world since 2001. So quite a while. Been through a bunch of different cycles. And I started this company, Foundation Mortgage, in 2015. And we do all types of lending that are real estate based. And, we also know about a lot of lending that's out there that we don't do. Okay. So we'll be a resource for people that's like, hey, I have this particular scenario. It might not fit the box of the lending product that we have, but we're also, it's that collaboration, right? And it's about the community of, hey, we're going to put you in the right direction to get you set up with someone that can. There's some of those people in this room too.
Let's sit down for a second, and we'll bring Nathan up here. Nick, what would you do before you? Has anyone talked to Nick before? Just a couple, right? Yeah, and we come.
I always leave early.
And we come to Grid all the time.
I have two little kids.
No, that's okay. But I wanted to get Nick up here. Not that we don't love Morgan. Morgan's going to be up here too, right? Because as the owner of Foundation, he's got an interesting perspective. And I wanted to leave today. Our goal today is, here's what we're going to do. We're going to give you a complete overview of what the ecosystem is when it comes to finding money. Through the lens of, how can I go out, find a property that looks like a deal, right? Dan found that great deal with all that margin, right? Great, but it's not financeable. So I need a joint venture partner. Someone's going to come in. They're going to give me the capital, right? I am going to go through there. I'm going to use private money for the renovation and the acquisition of that property. And then at the end of it, I can exit using financing, traditional financing, and I could rate and term refinance out my partner in there. So I could have a long-term asset, like you love, Tim, right, without putting any money out of my pocket. And I think that would be a great ecosystem where we can look at, what does that look like if I'm the capital partner passively investing? What does that look like if I'm engaging with private lending, right? And what does that look like if I'm engaging with traditional financing? What are the advantages? When do I use those? Answer those questions and hopefully leave you with an idea of kind of how the mortgage industry works as well. So you kind of have a perspective on what is driving those things. I think sometimes There's a little mystery around these. So if you got hard questions, Nick can answer them. What were you doing before you became a lender?
So I've been a lender since '01, right?
Okay.
So I've been doing it for a while, but
I didn't know that.
yeah. Originally
back
from
in
New
the
York
bad old
City.
days.
I actually grew up in upstate New York, but then I graduated high school in New York City, and I ended up taking my Series 763 right out of high school. When I was 18, I was a stockbroker on Wall Street for 2 years. So I was like the youngest stockbroker on Wall Street. And you can kind of see like the layout of this office here kind of has that inspiration. I like that trading desk, high energy sales floor. So I did that. It was pretty crazy. It was actually kind of like the movies. And then I started the mortgage business I worked for a company in Staten Island.
So you were
for a
there
couple
like
years.
in like the pets.com stock boom and then transitioned right into like the mortgage boom.
Yeah, it
Yeah.
was a couple mortgage booms.
Okay.
And obviously, like the world in finance has changed so much over the last 20 years, and positives and negatives. There's some things that have really tightened up, and then there's also a lot of things that have really loosened up. So we'll kind of go over that a little bit tonight. Like, hey, if you took a 25-year period of lending, okay, and you gave a perspective on where we are right now, there's actually some pretty strong positives and things that we've not actually seen before, particularly when we're talking about investor money. Investor money, the difference between the cost of investor money and primary residence money is closer than it's ever been as far as rates go.
And historically, right, anybody got an investing loan in the past, get a DSCR loan? Not the case, right? You're paying a significant premium. Like, hey, rates are 6%, not your investor deal, right? There's usually a much bigger spread. What's it been like historically versus now?
So you could take when DSCR really started becoming a thing was during COVID. Okay, so your primary residence money was like 2.5% on the 30-year fixed. Okay, and DSCR rates were 5 to 6. Okay, so you could say double the interest rate, 100% higher. Okay, right now the difference between primary residence money and investor money is maybe 10 or 20% higher. It's very close. It's the closest it's ever been.
That's fascinating. And you and Morgan, well, I don't want to get too far ahead. DSCR's debt service coverage ratio. It means the loan is underwritten off of the income it can produce, as opposed to like a debt to income ratio where it's based off of your personal debt to income ratio.
So you could think like if you have a credit score, you have to have a minimum credit score. These loans are do have a higher credit score requirement. It's nothing crazy, but you have to have established credit to get them. But we don't look at income at all. There's no income verification. So if you have credit and you have down payment, you can get these loans. That's the only requirement. Now, if you're a first-time investor, down payment's a little more. Makes sense, okay? If you're a repeat investor, down payment's less. The interest rates are a little bit better too. So the reason why that the difference between primary residence and investor loans is so close interest rate wise is because they perform. These loans really perform. And the investors, you could say Wall Street, the backers, the hedge funds and everything, they see this data, and this is opening up more options for financing. And I think we're going to see more and more of that happening because the loans are really doing well.
Thank you. That's a really good overview. Nathan, you ready for your close-up? Come on down, Batman.
So Nathan is one of my favorite DSCR lenders. And if I ever have some funky scenario,
Come on down to the Price is Right.
so we do a lot of business through Nathan.
You got a mic right next to you. You can use either.
Let's go.
Okay, you got to put it right here.
So funny story. The lender. That's the name of. That's a very original name, by the way. They had a
Nano banana.
They had a competition last year, and I think it was something like you got closed like 10 million in a month or something.
Oh, for the gold.
And you give a gold bar. And
Yes,
I was
no one
so
hit it.
motivated
And
to do it.
I couldn't qualify because I worked there. But yeah, no broker hit it.
Yes.
Yeah.
All right, that's some inside.
There was a couple deals that I would have been close, but yeah.
Very, very inside baseball. Nathan, who are you, sir?
Batman. Everyone knows me here as Batman. I have a photo ID. Thank you for that wallet that has Batman with my
Yes.
photo.
When you're not saving Gotham City, who are you during the day?
I am Nathan Gord. I work for the lender. I do that for my daytime job. I also love lending money and buying rental properties. So
Yes.
I'm in your shoes as well, people.
So here's what we're going to do, and this is fascinating, Nathan. We're going to talk about how to be a joint venture partner. We're going to start there and work all the way through this life cycle. If you got questions, feel free to raise your hands. Like I'm not Nathan. How many deals have you funded as a capital partner this year? And explain what I mean by when I say as a capital partner.
So a capital partner can be several different things, but for me, I'm just the OPM. OPM is other people's money. So I like to loan out of my IRA. It's a self-directed IRA. I also
There you
loan.
go. You got to get uncomfortably close.
Okay.
Yep. It's coming in and out. Like it doesn't sound like it is.
Sorry. I see the thumbs up. I got you. So I like to loan out of my self-directed IRA. I also like to loan out of my savings account, my checking account. I also have a HELOC. I just signed another commercial line yesterday because I'm lending like crazy this year. I had a goal of 3. Lance, who's hiding behind the pole, took all 3 before the end of the year from me. So I already hit my goal for this year. And what I do is I come in and be that gap.
How many have you lent so far this year? How many deals have you funded?
Funded 7, already got paid back on 1.
Okay.
And she's not here who paid me back. I thought
Awesome.
she'd be here.
So that's why Nathan is up here, right? So we can ask, like, Nathan works as a lender. We'll kind of get into this of terms of he works on both the wholesale and the retail side. So Nathan works on the wholesale side where you come to Foundation, you want to broker loans. We'll kind of walk through what that model is. Let's do that now. Like what?
So
Break down how the mortgage industry works in 90 seconds. Go. No pressure.
So there's a couple different entities out there. You have a direct lender, okay, that is lending, you could say their own money. I mean, really, it's a secondary market that they're selling it to. But they have a box, okay? They have a certain amount of products. They have a particular product that they're going for. They're priced well, okay? And generally speaking, there's one process to get there, okay? And they have advantages of being a direct lender. And that would be like if you went to, give you an example of direct lender, would be like a movement mortgage, okay? That would be considered a direct lender. So, and they do a great job, and they're a big competitor here in our market. A mortgage broker, much more open, okay? So kind of the way we've established our lenders and the way we found Nate even was we found a scenario. If someone came into a scenario and he said, okay, we can't do this, okay, but there's money out there to do it. It's our job to find that lender, okay, and facilitate the transaction. So from the consumer standpoint, it's the same as if you were going to a direct lender, okay? The same process, same documents, same communication. The backside, though, is very different because we're deciding where it's going to go, okay, how the pricing works, and making sure that we have a scenario that's going to be the most competitive. So so a mortgage broker has a lot of latitude when it comes to lending, and it's continuously expanding because the lending world is continuously expanding, and we keep coming across new scenarios. And we've just recently started to move into larger development tracks too. That are, we're looking at one that's $100 million in Sevier County, and we have a lender that can do $100 million worth of development in Sevier County. So it's an ever evolving thing in the mortgage broker space.
And then can you explain just the secondary market? So I go out, you make these loans. What happens after that?
So mortgages are bonds, okay? That's ultimately what they are, and there's a bond market, okay? And you could think of buyers of a bond market would be pension funds, hedge funds, governments, okay, sovereign funds. That's considered like the secondary market. It goes to a market of investors to buy these securities that are interest producing, okay? Every mortgage has an interest rate on it, okay? So an investor is buying that security, and then they're getting paid an interest rate on it.
Which is why 2008 was so harmful, because when Moody's was compromised and they were giving A ratings to these securities that were based on subprime trash, like you had what worked traditionally, which is just an insurance company is buying a 30-year mortgage, and it's not very sexy and the returns aren't great.
What they did back then, and it's amazing that nobody caught on to this before it crashed, but it was basically risk mismanagement, okay? And then they went to an insurance companies, okay, AIG was the big one, and they just insured for default. Well, if this loan goes bad, okay, we have this insurance policy to cover it. The problem was when they all go bad, the insurance company goes bad, and you know who steps in?
Yeah.
We do, the taxpayer.
Yep.
So
The Big Short is an excellent explanation. Really, Big Short, Michael Lewis's catalog. Read the other books, Disaster Capitalism, like the articles, like they really cover it quite well. But
so the big difference now in today's lending world, and even like talking about some of the products that we have today, are like you can do that. You can do a self-prepared profit and loss statement and use that as income. It's like, yes, we can. However, there's skin in the game. There's down payment. And in '08, none of these loans had down payment. They were all almost
no
negative
income,
equity.
no asset.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
So-
now we can do no income in a sense. Okay, now we're talking investment properties, and we would do an income projection. Okay, but the down payment requirements are the thing that comes in. There has to be equity in the deal for us to do lending at this point.
Awesome. Anybody want to hear more about the intricacies of lending? Am I boring you? So here's why I wanted to lay that out, though, is we got to lay out some groundwork so we can have an intelligent conversation. So a couple of different things. Why does direct lender, mortgage broker, what does it matter? Anybody who has insurance in here through a broker? And who has insurance through like a State Farm, traditional carrier, like an Allstate, et cetera? Yeah, fantastic. There's advantages, disadvantages to both, right? With the broker, they're going to shop everybody, but maybe I end up with a carrier that's not so great because I have a long-term relationship with them. And if I have one person there at State Farm, maybe my premiums aren't the most amazing, but man, it's so much better. Like I've got someone there to advocate for me, and like the claim process in the back end is better, and I get better customer service. On the lending side, the servicing is getting sold. So even maybe you go to Bank of America or something, they're not servicing, they're not holding that paper. There is no long-term relationship there. So my entire career, I've always worked. I was a mortgage broker. I've always worked with mortgage brokers. I just think it's the most advantageous because they have access. Provided you know how to pick a good mortgage broker, they have access to the most options.
I will challenge that,
Let's go.
and I will say that
Portfolio
who gives a
lenders?
No, who gives a crap?
Yeah, exactly.
It's not broker or retailer direct. It's the person you're working with. If you put
The individual loan officer
Yes.
is the biggest factor.
if you
This
put
is
like
true.
a Morgan in retail, he'll probably do well. I came from Movement. You put Morgan in the broker world, he's great.
I'm gonna challenge you back. You put Morgan at Regions.
I came from Regions.
Yeah, exact. Bank of America.
Jeanette
blow
Jeanette Bergens is amazing there.
Jeanette is amazing. Regions is trash.
I left for a reason.
Jeanette is one of the best humans in Knoxville. Very active in care cuts. She has some great programs. You want to work with her individually, she's fantastic. But working with these large banks on a purchase, I don't recommend it.
No, and
Because
you'll never find Morgan there for a reason.
Yeah.
Right? So, but Morgan, wherever he goes, it will be phenomenal. It's the person you work with.
Sure.
Same thing with an agent.
Yep. I want to set the stage. I don't want to take too much time talking about mortgage lending, but I think it's important. Like, just like I hear investors say, I don't buy things on the MLS, or like, I would never use a bank. Like, sometimes people put themselves in boxes unnecessarily, and it's like, you need to be open-minded. There are a lot of tools right? And I should look at all my tools and use all of these. There's a reason why we have relationships with a variety of lenders. So anyways, doesn't really matter. Just, I wouldn't, to your point, pick someone good. They can pick someone that you can build a close relationship with. The nice thing about a mortgage broker is you can sit down with them. They can walk you through, and then they can tell you how to present you to different lenders. Which I think is effective. Anyways, walk us through. So we're going to talk through this scenario. I want to walk through that scenario of like, how could I buy a property out of pocket without any of my own cash from start to finish?
Gotcha. So, do you have a scenario, or not? Am I just coming up with one?
We can come up with one.
Perfect. Awesome.
Easy math.
So, I'll just use a scenario right now I'm looking at.
Okay.
So, there's a builder working with, and when Nick says $100 million development, guys, that's easy money, right? It's out there all day long. You can easily get it 85%, right? So,
Nathan, what was the development you're working on?
the New York one or the Sevierville one?
The one that was like 80 million.
The 80 million has changed. It's actually gone up to 100, and then the one in New York just is up to 115 million. It's an
Okay.
apartment complex,
Sure.
and we're up to 85% loan to cost. So capital is out there, and it's becoming more and more easy. Like Nick said, there's more companies. Like, who here has ever had a bad subprime car loan, especially Dodge, right?
I had,
Y'all-
I had a Santander loan that was like
Okay,
23%.
great. Thank you. Y'all know Santander is
From
one of the
Mexico.
biggest buyers in mortgage bonds right now. They came into the market and bought up a lot of loans. People don't know that, but Santander, right? So there's more and more people getting into this, like Nick said, right? Santander.
I'm just laughing. You're saying Santander. They're like based out of Mexico City.
Exactly. There's more people coming to the market, not just your pensions and stuff, but you've got Santander, Goldman, JP Morgan, you got Long Run, all these places. So capital is the easiest thing to get right now. So when you partner with someone, right, on this deal in the Smokies, this build, we have a build projection of 1.4 million, right, from the builder. The after completion value is 2.2 million. What we've discussed doing, one of my partners and I, is that we will partner with the builder. We're going to use someone's self-directed IRA. We can talk about that later. They are going to give us the money for the down payment and the carrying costs, and we're giving them 20% interest for the deal. They're making plenty of money. They're happy because their bank right now is less than 5%. Going from less than 5 to 20% is a huge deal, right? No one's excited? Okay. And so we're using their money to then go and do this build. And there's technically 3 of them. So by us carrying the note through a private lender or a hard money lender, I won't say the company we're using, we are up to 90% for loan to cost. And so we just have to come up with the down payment and carrying costs, which is insurance, utilities, and all that.
All right.
And that's zero money out of our pocket.
All right. I'm sorry. I
So
asked,
basically
I
the-
asked the graduate professor to
The
teach
The-
elementary school.
That was 101.
So
You all
the-
got it, right?
ultimately what that amounts to is if you don't have money for a deal, but you have a deal, right? There's a lot of resources of people that are interested that would put up the money to make the deal happen. And one of the hardest things out there is to actually find the deal in the first place, right? And there's a lot of people in this room that are like, hey, if you came to them with a deal and you're like, hey, I need the down payment money to make this work, they would partner with you to make it happen.
Yeah, and so one of the things that I remember, I was talking to someone doing syndications, and I had a conversation with Rob, and she came to me and she was telling me it's a deal and it's $16 million, right? And all the reasons why she wants to get into it. And he was just like, why is it a deal? And I couldn't answer because I just had I was repeating the things she had shared with me. I hadn't really asked her these questions. And he's like, anytime you talk to somebody, ask them why it's a deal. They need to articulate why it's a deal. What is the upside to this? If it doesn't make sense to you, it's not a deal, right? Maybe you're not the right person for it. And then he's like, all those big deals, if we're talking about a development, if I'm talking about apartment building syndication, they're not more complicated. It's a fix and flip. It's new construction, right? It is a burr play, right? I'm going to come into an apartment complex. I'm going to force appreciation. I'm going to hold the asset. He's like, just add zeros. And that made sense to me. Now, that being said, not many of us are going to do developments. So let's just walk through one of the deals. We've done a residential retail deal with let's say a $300,000 ARV.
Okay. So
Or
one,
maybe a 400 ARV if that number's easier for you.
perfect. So one we're doing right now.
Yep.
First off, the one I did give was a residential for the record. It was a cabin. So the deal we're doing right now in Fountain City, Lance found it. He found the deal. The hardest part is finding
Nathan's the only person I know that gets offended when I tell him he's too smart.
I love you. So Lance finds a deal. The hardest thing in my part is you always have to be finding deals, and that is just impossible when you have a day job. So Lance is my day job, right? Lance finds the deal. He comes to me and says, hey, I've got this. Here's the ARV. Lance, what was the ARV? Right.
Let's break down the definition of ARV and how you determine that.
Perfect. After repair value, when you want to do that, you really want to work with an agent who gets it, who can pull comps, look at comps, and make sure that the comps make sense, right? Not every BPO is accurate, so you want to work with an agent who really understands to find you the deal and find you what the after repair value is, which is what could you list this house for once it's done to sell. Is that what you're going to jump into?
Sure. ARV is just, what's going to be done after renovation value, what's going to be done when it's done. So it's this one, the after repair value, easy numbers, we're just going to say it's 300. Okay?
Perfect. 300. We used a hard money lender. I think that one was at 90%. Perfect.
So the hard money lender is doing 90% of.
Loan to cost. Right? And so what Lance does is he comes up with the money. He comes up with the holding costs for how long he thinks it's going to take. Then he calls a moron like myself and says, hey, I need this money. I ask the simple question, what's the ARV? What's the turn time? When do I get my money back? And as soon as he answers all those things, if they fit in my box, which I call a fund box, I will loan it to him, right? And then as you guys can tell, once I give him the money, I don't care anymore, right? Because I'm just the bank. I don't care about the cabinets. I don't care about the color. I don't care, but I love it. Lance calls me and gives me updates. I don't need to know that. I am just the bank, and I'm making my return. And it's a use tax, which says, hey, if I borrow $100,000 and whatever we agree upon, let's just make the numbers easy, 10%. We can all do that math, right? That's $10,000. I'm going to get 110 back when it sells or when he does the Burr method, if he chooses to do that, right? So that's how this came up. I loan him the money out of my self-directed IRA checkbook. I just write a check and say, hey, here you go, Lance. Lance goes to closing. I went with him, took a picture, had a cramp because it was a long day. If you guys seen that photo, very goofy. And we celebrate and have fun, but I am the OPM, so I'm in second position. Hard money's in first, and Lance comes out very little out of pocket. He's happy. It's a deal for him because he's making his money. It's a deal for me because the percent I'm making is way more than you can make in a syndication or a IRA or a CD or stocks right now. That's why it's an investment for me, and that's why it's an investment for Lance, and we're happy.
RJ, you want to do me a favor? You want to be my mic runner? Awesome. There's a mic right here. I'm going to give it for you. Who's got questions? Because let's just make this a little interactive instead of me guessing what we are and aren't catching. Because we got lots of different experience levels in the room. What's your name? Trisha. RJ's going to bring you a mic. Yes, you have to. Because we're streaming this at home and
Real
nobody
close.
can hear you.
Can you hear that?
No one can hear you at home if you're not on the mic. That's why we're doing it. So thank you.
So I have two questions. You mentioned brokers. What questions do we ask brokers to vet them? And then the same with our private money lenders. What questions should we ask them to vet them and make sure they're a good match for us who have the deals?
I'm
So-
going to start with, and I'll let you go to there, is build relationships with people who are where you want to be and ask them for their resources.
It's actually that's what I was going to say is there's the mortgage broker world is we have all these different lenders, okay, and it's actually a pretty complicated ecosystem to navigate. So it requires a higher level of expertise to execute on the mortgage broker level than it does working for a direct lender, just because they have one set of products. So the best way to find a good mortgage broker is by referral. So, I mean, you have some mortgage brokers that really are very, basic. They don't understand a lot of stuff. Even though they have all the products, they don't know how to do it. And then you have other ones that are very, very experienced that you really can pull a rabbit out of a hat and make things work. We got Morgan in the background. He's one of those guys.
Rabbit.
And pull a rabbit out of a hat. So that's really how you're going to find your resources is by referral.
And it depends on what you need a mortgage broker for.
I'm going to chime in and say your community, right? You're in a community of people right here that you should be able to trust everybody but one. Where's Travis, right? Don't trust him. But, no, I love him. So trust the people in this room. You still haven't cooked me the jambalaya in a while, so I'm mad. Thanks. So trust the people in this room. This is an ecosystem. It's a community. Trust people here, right? Because I promise you, if one of us has done Justin wrong, we won't be on stage or in this group because he's going to vouch for you guys.
I want to poll the audience. There's someone that stole money from one of my clients. Should I nuke him in all the other investor groups? He's banned from here.
100%.
Yeah, Brandon Clark stole money from one of my clients, and he's screwed over other people in this community as well. I would not recommend using him. If you want to know which Brandon Clark, come ask me, but he's explicitly for a fact. Yeah. No. I just am asking. Like, it's the only person I can think of where I'm like, no, this person straight up took tens of thousands of dollars from my client, didn't perform the work.
And I see your face. It's true because I know the girl. But this is another important thing for why this community matters here is because no other community in Knoxville is holding him to, was it feet to the fire?
Yeah.
And this group is telling people, hey, even though he's posting in other groups, pick me as a contractor, this group is holding him to the fire. So this community is important for that reason alone to vet your brokers.
Trisha,
and
what
everything.
what are you working on right now?
Um,
Where are you at in your journey?
I'm at the beginning. I'm in my first year wholesaling.
Okay,
So
Awesome.
my win was I got EMD in today.
let's
on one
go.
of my properties, so-
Congrats. I
Yeah.
love it. I love
Acquired
it.
and disposed.
Awesome.
All myself.
I'm gonna ask you a question. You don't have to answer if you don't want to. Do you own some assets?
Just
don't-
personal assets.
You own a primary.
Yep.
Right? And you got equity in that primary?
Yep.
Okay, great. So then that's where I might start with my conversation with the mortgage broker. If I'm you, is like, hey, have I had a portfolio review where I get a good idea of what do I have access to? Right. And I build a relationship with someone who's going to be a consultant for me, right? Is going to go on this journey and help me grow of like, maybe it doesn't make any sense. We have a conversation in no way what you shared with me. You do not need to like tap your equity. Oh no, cool. Your partner has some DOE union job and they've been there for 20 years and it's safe as houses. And like, cool, yeah, maybe we don't. Yep, you could totally tap that. You could always pay it off, right? You could pull money of the other assets, but start there because that's another thing. Like a lot of you are sitting on untapped equity, right? Laura, remember we had this conversation? No, Laura and Rashid are in their own
So-
worlds.
I'll piggyback off that a little bit.
I was going to ask Laura about untapped equity. Just we had it. No. But we had a conversation about like untapped equity, and we just discovered like potentially like you have different assets, but if we move things around, like the budget tripled, right?
That was in the war room,
Yep,
glass room.
that was something that Nathan did. But just being like, oh, I didn't know I had these other assets. I don't want to maybe leverage them, but the things that I could potentially do are radically different because I had a conversation with a mortgage broker that just kind of looked at all of the different products and then was like, hey, here's some things you could do. Or
So I'll kind of to answer your question a little better too is like choosing a mortgage broker or a lender for that matter is, when you're talking about real estate investing, it's financed. Okay, we're leveraging. All right, and the rate that you can grow at and the expansion that you can do is heavily based on what kind of lending you can get, right? So you want to match up with someone that understands this vision of what you're trying to build, okay, and then knows how to put the loans in place to build it, okay, knows those building blocks and understands and gets what you're trying to do because it's going to be financed, right? So and it's one step leads to another and and there's an escalation that can happen with that too. So in a conversation with someone who you're really going to fit with, you want to find someone who understands what you're trying to build because they're going to finance that whole dream, right?
I was converted many people over the years that called me because they have a dream of buying some land, and you have a conversation on what do you want to do with this land. Or I want to build on it eventually. And what does that look like? And then really no one's ever explained to them the way land financing works versus construction permanent financing. And meaning like somebody wants to buy their land cash and they haven't thought about like, how am I going to finance the build and just looked at it in the totality, right? And that's the most obvious example that happens all the time where they just think like, oh, I should just buy land and own it outright. And it really doesn't, it's not always advantageous for people.
You're right. I'll throw one more out to you. Quizem, right? Quizem, like it's investing. It's not your primary, right? I'm all about numbers. I could care less about your emotions, right? We could celebrate if you want, but ask them, how many investment properties do you have? How many of these types of loans do you finance per year? Do you understand this? Because investing is completely different than primary homes. It's about strategy. It's not about cheap. You will always find someone cheaper. You want to find someone who gets it, gets your strategy, and if they don't ask you within the first couple minutes, what is your goal and what do you want to accomplish? That means they are just selling you rate. Walk away.
Thank you. Who else has a question?
Didn't she have a second question? Oh.
Yep.
Yeah, I would. I think when you were talking about the house, you were kind of using hypothetical rates. So I'm curious, what are your typical terms? Like for you to use your HELOC funds for a particular project, what sort of return do you need to get? And I'm just curious, what are your real terms you're using in this rate? I know it varies.
I'm going to plus this, Tom. That's a good question. Let's just talk about, would it be helpful right now if we talk about anybody here interested in being like a passive partner, putting up capital for someone else's deal? Yeah.
Does anyone here have an old 401k, IRA, or CD?
Anybody like to get a higher return on their retirement account? Cool. No. So let's talk through. Great. Yeah. Hey, I just found. I'm just finished a flip today. Actually, got it all staged. That Cindy Hewitt is my capital partner on. She put up all the cash for me for my down payment. No money out of my pocket. What terms? If I'm coming to you, I can give you the terms on this. I purchased it for 100. The renovation budget on it was 70, and the exit on it is 250. So I needed, I think I got like 65% LTV with the lender. So the 65% of the purchase price from a private money lender, and they funded all the renovations. So they were going to give me $65,000 to purchase it. They were going to give me $70,000, so $135,000, right? But I didn't have the money for the down payment, nor do I want to fund that out of I keep my money in our real estate team. I don't use any of that. I want to use any of my capital on investments because I want to fuel the real estate team. So what would that have looked like if I came to you and I said, hey, I want to borrow some money? She funded the draws as well. So I think she deployed about $60,000 in capital.
So for me, I'd probably stick around 15%, but I do want to say I don't use my HELOC. I went with a different strategy. I took a HELOC on my primary for my reserves for emergency, and I've loaned out every other penny from my personal savings or my retirement because Lance is very greedy and wants a lot of deals. But I'm making money. So my HELOC, I use it for my emergency so that I can loan out money. That way I'm not paying to loan money out, right? I get your question, interest only. But when it comes to interest, I'm sticking around that 15%. I had one lady offer me 30% because she was a newbie. It's riskier. I'll do 30. But if someone who's seasoned, I'll probably stick around that 15% mark just because that's better than what my money was doing in my old 401k. But it's all negotiable, right? So for you,
15%, all right, and we talk about the rates that we see. That's on the higher end for what we do. So what's the advantage of that, right? And I can tell you, it's speed. Okay, so when you go to a lender, okay, and it's not an individual, there's a process. Okay, there's underwriting to get that money. It might be cheaper. Okay, so it has to really do with what the situation is. Which one's more appropriate, and is speed worth the extra rate? Right, a lot of times it is.
I had a really good conversation with Chris Davis. So I'm going to post this in the Grid Knoxville Facebook channel. I interviewed him about so Chris and Flint run Approach Lending. They are both taking their dad on a bucket list trip, like a golfing trip right now. That's why they're not here. I didn't coordinate with them, which is pretty great. They're out there. If you want to see the picture, I'll show you. It made me really happy. So they were out there with them and asked, why would you use private money? You have access to capital, right? Why would you use private money right now? And he's like, well, I can think of a couple of things. One, if I wanted to, I didn't want to tap into my reserves because I want to have reserves someplace else or I had money allocated elsewhere. I didn't want to pull out of those assets. Two, if I needed to move quickly. Like so many deals we find, they're based upon me moving quickly. That's why I would use private money. If you haven't used, Approach before, why would I want to use a private lender? Some of them are brokering money. I've had that before where it sounds great. And just like a regular transaction, there's another third-party underwriter. And at the end, I get some more stipulations. So when I used a different lender on this one deal I'm doing right now, and I got some stipulations where I was like, I am out of town. I don't have any of the things they're asking for. Cindy is organized, thank God. She's a former accountant, so she ripped off all of their extra stipulations. Using someone I trust that can give me a yes or no can be very advantageous. And the draw process. Using a private lender with a quick draw process where I submit a draw and I get paid immediately can save you literally months on a deal. Because what happens otherwise is if I'm waiting to get reciprocated on a draw, I cannot keep that contractor continuously employed. And that's how I go from being 90% done on a flip December 31st to just finishing it now. because he went away, went back to Mexico, saw the family for Christmas, comes back. Now there's other jobs, and it's right. I'm seeing him once a week. I love this guy.
Now, remember, your question was about my situation, why I loan. I'm in second position. Our hard money loan is in the 9s, right? We paid 1 point and we got 9%. That's phenomenal in that world. And then I
That
come
is.
in as a second lien
Yeah,
holder
typical rate
as
there is
OPM.
what 10 to 13 is pretty typical for hard money.
I would say 10 to 13 to 1 to 3 points.
Yeah, and then so when I come in as OPM, I'm taking 15%. I'm that extra money so that the person flipping doesn't have to bring anything to the table. So
Yep.
15% is more than fair. I mean, I remember eating lunch with you and Corey, and Corey's like, I'm paying people 20. I'm like, sign me up.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
Corey,
I
was
will
like
mention too,
offering equity percentages, and we had a
in the secondary market, that loan does not exist. It's not there. Nobody is going to take second lien position to go up to 90 or 100%. It just doesn't exist. It would have to be an individual.
Yep.
That's why the rate would be 15%.
And then none of us are ultra rich, right? Besides maybe Travis. But when you look at what the wealthy do, the wealthy that are building are using private money because it's velocity of money. It's how fast can we turn this money? How fast can I get the deal done? So wealthy people are using private money at 3 points, 11.5% interest because it's all asset based, maybe 85, 90% loan to cost. It's about just like Nick said, it's the ease of getting the loan, getting the quick draws, and just keep moving, right? Too many times investors screw themselves up because they focus on what? Rate.
yeah.
So there, and where you can make a mistake there, you have to be very careful with. And we know our lane as mortgage brokers where we're the strongest, right? And we do long-term loans, right? And that's where we're very competitive. But if you're just looking at rate, you're not factoring in the time value of money. And on these deals, time value is very, very high. So to take a higher rate that moves really fast, okay, you're actually getting a better deal once you factor in the value of time.
So there's some really valuable. I think one of the best books on this is The Lifestyle Investor by, I think it's Justin McDonald. I forget his last name. And it really hammers that concept of the velocity of capital. All that means is great. I can go get a 12% return, but what if I could turn my money twice? Man, if I could turn my money twice at 8%, 16's a lot better than 12, isn't it? Right? If I could turn it 3 times, like that's what it comes down to is just like what's the opportunity? How fast can I deploy my capital? So when we're talking about playing the game overall, hey, I want to be a flipper. Fantastic. That is a great entry point. Glad you're here, Greg. And then you start flipping and you see how long the capital deployment cycle is. And you go, man, my capital's tied up for 6 months and I've got a lot of risk. This is kind of tough. Maybe I go into something different. I love like land flipping. Those are things that could be in and out a little quicker. Maybe I go into wholesaling because my capital acquisition cycle comes down to like 30 to 45 days on what I have left out. Like, how do I turn those things faster and then limit my trailing liability?
So I won't give you the equation because we're not going to nerd out, and that's intense. We all know
I know that's
ChatGPT.
really hard for you not to nerd out, bro.
Shut up.
He's holding back.
We all have ChatGPT, right?
He's holding back.
Every single one of you guys should go on ChatGPT and just put in, hey, I have $50,000 to start with today. If I loaned it out every 7 months to a flipper, you don't say to a flipper, just do the math, and say I get 15% every 7 months. In 15 years, how much money with the compound effect would that grow into? It will blow your mind. That is why people have been moving money to self-directed IRAs, to savings accounts, and they start loaning as OPM because once you loan out 50, what do you have next time? You have like 57. Next time, you keep going, that compound effect, right? That's why this community is very important as well, because you lose money when you don't have deals coming in, but as long as Lance keeps finding me deals, I'm growing.
So one of the things that, again, if you're getting into this and you don't have capital, right? Finding the deals, okay? You can't do it without finding the deals. So even if you don't have money, but you're able to find deals, you have a lot of value to bring to the table there.
Tim,
'Cause
I'm still waiting on those deals you promised
when
me.
you're talking about, all this depends on finding the deals, and that takes a lot of work too.
Who else has questions? Don't let that man shush you. It was just International Women's Day. No. Go ahead, Dan. We'll come back to
little
Paola.
bit of an iPad kid here, so the attention span's kind of bad. But how are you protecting yourself on a second lien? So let's say I got 50,000 on me, and I'm hungry to help a deal, get nurtured into a flip or whatever for Joey here, and he wants to borrow that money. How do I give that? Even though I know he's a confident flipper, he's going to do the job. I vetted him. I know the deal's right because I know real estate. How do I protect that 50 grand contractually? Maybe in that transaction, being the lender
So great question.
on
One,
a second lien.
not an attorney, so don't sue me, bro. But what I would do is I would definitely try to get him to be in your contract. You present him the contract for the note. Don't let the flipper present you the contract, right? To protect yourself. Each state is different. You want to try to have a personal guarantor. I always recommend it. Another thing you can do is you can say, did you say Joey? Joey, do you have any other assets? Do you have any rental properties that have some equity?
I have a primary.
Okay, cool. Not what I was hoping for, but
So you're talking
yeah.
talking collateralized other assets.
You can collateralize with other assets, right? And so you just want to protect
Yeah,
yourself.
Dan, just take his house. No, just kidding.
Yeah, just hire someone big like Travis to beat him up afterwards. But do a personal guarantor, have the contract, make sure that you vet it. But if you're not comfortable with the contract, like I'm not, Megan heard me earlier, I don't do words, I do numbers, right? So I use an attorney. Have the attorney draw up the contract, make it easy, and here you go. In the state of Tennessee, I will tell you, I learned this very hard. You must have an end date. If not, it's very hard to foreclose if you do that. So you want to say, hey, this ends in month 9. You owe me payments here. That's late here. Your attorney will specify that. So make sure you have an attorney draw up the document you feel comfortable with so that you can just do it on repeat.
You could also put a forced sale clause into that contract. I think the most important thing to answer your question, Daniel, would be no, I think it was very good, but underwriting the deal.
Yes, and that's where, again, people like a Nick, Justin, a Travis, when they can underwrite a deal for you, you pay them like, hey, I'll give you $1,000 to underwrite the deal. Because my own deals, I'll tell you, I don't underwrite my own deals because y'all know I go all, crazy up here. So I let someone else verify my own deals to make sure I'm not messing up.
So just like worst case scenario, right? If it just depends. If I have a flipper that totally shits the bed and just stops showing up or something happened to him tragically or something, I could really be in a bind. But if we just have somebody where we can at least get to a finishing point and I've underwritten it where, hey man, what would it take for us just to walk away and break even and not make any money? As long as there's sufficient margin there, that's, I think, the biggest edge would just be, did I leave myself enough margin where if things went really wrong, we would still be able to like escape out of this deal and not lose money?
So I like the idea of collateralizing another asset, and there might not be another asset, okay, which also you could, that's what we call a layer of risk, okay. So when you start layering risks on there, you don't want to go too high in layer of risk. And so, if you're lending money to someone that literally has no assets that you could collateralize, that's a pretty dangerous deal. You're hoping everything goes right.
Do not put it on someone's primary house. Please don't make that mistake and get sued. Primary houses are protected, so be very careful on that.
Yeah, well, the reason we talk about investing,
Are they?
so
Are they protected from high cost loan?
Yeah,
Well,
so
that's
mine's a
like-
high cost loan. Yeah.
It'd be a high cost loan.
So there's, when you put a second lien on, and you can look this up, when you put a second lien on a house, the state of Tennessee has regulations on what the interest rate can be on that second lien. So it's posted. It's kind of low. It's lower than you would think on a primary residence.
But when I enter into a joint partnership in an LLC with somebody, then that's a very different scenario, right? It could be we're splitting the profits 50-50, right? And that could be a much higher return than just like a private loan. So I've entered into joint partnerships before several times. Yeah. It kind of just depends on it. Really, honestly, what I've seen is it's not related to experience. Often it's related to the investor. Some people are motivated by fair deals. Some people are motivated by the best deal. Some people are collaborative by nature. I have done a lot of deals on a handshake in my life. Many for years. We just split the profits when we were done. We had a verbal agreement. I wouldn't recommend this to other people,
Don't do that.
right?
Yeah, don't do that.
No, I wouldn't. But also there's like I'm like when it comes to building relationships with people, I've realized I am a bizarre outlier in that like I like people an insane amount and I seem to build rapport with people an insane amount. And these people that I just trusted with my life if that guy's stealing from me in my life,
Justin
really
is
in
like one of the
trouble.
nicest guys out there too.
So, but like construction deals, things like that. But I would say joint ventures are another way, right? Where then I get around the high cost loan issues, right?
Yeah, you're a
So,
capital partner in
if-
it, and the,
you
whatever
can pretty
the
much
split
get
is.
around high cost if it's not a primary residence. Okay?
Okay.
So all these regulations regarding cost. Now you have usury laws, which is like loan sharking laws, but you're talking very, very high interest rates on those. But outside of that, if you're not lending on a primary residence, you really don't have to worry much about high costs.
I love watching everyone's face. It's like teaching a math class. People are struggling. What other questions do we have? I saw Paola had a question and Laura. Well, Dan's gonna go and then Paola, then Laura. Sorry, you got to keep up.
All right. So first, I just have a comment on lending in second position. I think if anybody here in the room is thinking about, is this even on? No.
Yeah, he's got to talk into it.
Okay.
Uncomfortably close, Dan. No, like right in front of your mouth.
There we go.
There you go.
If anybody's thinking about becoming a private lender, I would just strongly advise you not to lend in second position unless you really know what you're doing.
Yeah.
Like it's not a great way to get started in like little loans gap funding.
Yeah, we have some folks in Grid that went down that path and got burned. Started a second lending company and then stuff went really sideways on them.
Yeah, because you can in fact actually wipe out 100% of your investment. So although 15% sounds attractive, a lot of people would rather have 12 but have actual security, right? So just want to comment on that.
So
real quick.
explain why second lien is so dangerous, right? It's because the foreclosure process and bidding in an auction starts at what's owed on the first lien.
Correct.
I mean, is
yeah.
that's am I right in that?
Yeah, in a nutshell. So if all the equity is wiped out, the first position lien is getting paid back first. There may not be anything left to pay back the second.
Yeah.
It's a great point, but that's why it comes down to your risk tolerance. If you just want 12%, right, I would never have taken my money out of the stocks because I'm getting 20%, right? If you're going to put it in something, take money that you are willing to lose if possible, but you're also willing to gain some money. Otherwise, compare it to what it could do elsewhere. And if 12% is way lower than your 401k, your stocks, what they've been doing, right, you don't go down that rabbit hole. You got to figure out what your risk tolerance is and what you have to make, or if there's something better you can do.
Yeah, and I do you think the risk is still the same there if I'm a capital partner, Dan?
For sure. Yeah, I'll give you a perfect example. I recently took a chance on one of my clients. I said, here's 20 grand to cover your gap because he had done like 8 projects with me and they were all successful. So I said, all right, like, yeah, I'll give you the gap payment on this one because I know things are getting a little tight or whatever. Well, that project actually lost money. And so I get 0. I was an equity partner. I was supposed to get 25% of the profits, but I in fact got 0. Luckily, I had built in a little clause that says you owe me 10% no matter what, even if you lose. But for sure, you can get wiped out as an
Yeah.
equity partner. And I've even, I took a big loss a couple years ago. I lost 150 grand on a big flip. Big mistake. I mean, can happen to anybody. So I had an equity partner on that one. I had a friend come in, and he loaned $200K for that project as a down payment. And so the agreement was you share the equity in the event, that we lose, you lose with me, right? So that's the risk. So he was the one to take that on because I had done a lot of successful projects with him before. And so when it came down to it, we sold the property, said, look, like, I lost 150 grand. You're supposed to lose like 50. but it just didn't sit well with me, right? So I gave him still his entire investment back because I just like I don't want to lose someone's money, right? So it really depends on the equity thing, like who you're partnering with.
Yeah.
Like, can you trust them to, to do the right thing and make you whole?
Yeah, and I think it does come down to, like, I know we emphasize this of like people get up here and talk about wins, like people who flips houses in here, who's lost money on a flip. Anybody had a flip go sideways, right? Like who's gone into a project and it's been way worse than they thought and made significantly less money than they thought they would make. Yeah, I got like $6,000 in expenses this week. It's fun. Just okay, cool. It's fine. I had juicy margins on this thing. I got a killer deal through relationships. But yeah, you can lose money doing this. And so it really is. That's why I talk about that investing 101. Like, do I have the right allocation of security and risk? It is a difficult dance. I am like a riverboat gambler. I also have been broke a lot in my life. Don't recommend it. Right? I watch Corey build and he feels like he's always that, right? But he's much more methodical.
It's all those handshake deals, man.
Yeah. No, it's a bunch of other things. You don't think money is important, you don't make money. Paolo, you ready? Just kidding. No, we got another. No, going back to you.
Oh Lord. Okay. No, you said that somebody
Paola, you
with-
got to talk right there.
You said that somebody with value is somebody that brings a good deal. Can you describe in detail what's a good deal?
I mean,
mean,
there's like
because there's different-
there's 1,000 different ways.
I would say
Yes.
if you want a detailed answer, then I would say we talk about how to underwrite deals and how to estimate renovations, and I think that's like what would quantify a good deal. What's a deal that someone want to buy in here? Joey, what's your? Sure.
Can I answer with
please.
numbers? So a good deal for me, last September, local lender couldn't get a project done, a house, and they called me and they said, hey, we need you to become the bank on this deal for someone to buy their house to move here. I became the bank. I got, actually, it just got paid today. I got $825 cash flow per month. My cash-on-cash return is 147%. My return on investment in 3 years is over 700%. I bought a $300,000 home with $5,800 out of pocket. I became the bank by doing a lease with an option to buy. That, to me, when they call me and 3 lenders could not do it here locally, I said, yeah, I'll take that. Give me 7 days.
If you want to know how he does, come to Investing 101. Nathan is always there, and we can get out the whiteboard
Free
and break
breakfast.
this down. Because whenever I talk to Nathan, he's always like, "It's so simple. You're just the bank, and you just get $85
so to
million
put that in
dollars. Anybody
context-
could do this."
Like I said,
No,
when
you're
I this
very
way-
good, Nathan.
I've been
You
doing
can
this for
do
25 years, right? And Nathan will go down these rabbit holes. I'm like, bro, you got to repeat like half
Yes.
of that. I did not follow you.
I
on
need
Yes.
a slideshow, right?
I don't
No,
even-
no. I mean,
I don't know if
I
a
just mean that
slideshow
like
will
so.
even
Don't
do it.
feel if you're not like tracking that. We talk every week, right, Nathan?
You didn't call me this past week,
I
though.
didn't call you this past week. We're going to play pickleball this weekend. All right. No, and it's hard to follow. But so Nathan, because I didn't follow. Like I know you made that money. I don't know how you made that money.
Do you
and I don't know if that's
purposely try to
Paolo's
make it complicated?
Yes.
I think he says it
I
on purpose.
purposely practice. I practiced
just so
before this. I
easy.
kid you not, because Justin's
Like,
always
what are
telling
you
me to
talking
simplify
about,
this.
man?
It's
Like,
at
I'll get
least
into
a-
it. Like, well, hold on. Repeat
I was going
that.
to tell you how I
Yeah.
did it.
Okay.
All right.
Okay. But is this going to answer Paola's question, or is this like
That's a good deal to me. I'm making over 140% cash on cash, right? Cash on cash is not the only metric, people, but it's a metric. Cash on cash, let me explain it, is how you compare what your return is so that you can use it to look at other vehicles, right? So if my cash on cash return is 140%, who's getting that in crypto? CDs? Gold?
okay?
Right? So that means it's a good investment compared to other things. That's how I measure is what is my rate of return on the money I'm putting into a deal. I look at everything from a financial standpoint.
No. It's good. I think there's how many people here have a lot of capital to deploy and want to be a private bank? Just Dan, who's a private lender. So I think let's go to. I have an answer for you, Paula. All right, here's your answer. How do you know it's a good deal? And this is a real answer. It's going to sound vague. A motivated seller right? With a clear return, preferably let's say a 30% margin and a clear exit strategy, preferably more than one. That is a good deal, right? Hey, you should buy this. We could take this thing down. There's maybe enough money where we could burr it, we could flip it, or we could hold it, and that area is also a student rental. Like that would be something like there's some equity there. There is a motivated seller that's motivated by circumstance or emotion. I control, and it's a deal that I control. That's the most important thing, is controlling the deal, getting it under contract, like getting it. If you control the deal, then all things open. If you don't control the deal, you end up doing lots of legwork. How do I know this? Because I'm an agent and I've been involved in lots of deals I didn't control, trying to work on behalf of investors and spinning my wheels. And the advice I've been given now is go down, and the best way that I could help that off-market seller or something is me put it under contract and then control the asset, and now I can go have the conversation with the developer or the end investor. They're not willing to talk to me unless the deal is controlled. If I controlled it, I could go have the meeting with D.R. Horton or somebody. But without it, I can't. Morgan, will come
can
to
I
you.
answer Nick's question before we move on? Since he said, how did I do that? It's 30 seconds.
Yes.
What I did is
nobody's gonna understand this. So go ahead,
I would just so we can just answer when we get done.
basically the person put an option fee down. They gave me the 20% down. I used their 20% with a DSCR loan, debt service coverage loan. I purchased the rental. They leased it from me for 3 years. That's how I did that with a $300,000 house with under $6,000 out of my pocket. Very 101. Did I do that okay, y'all?
I think I got.
Why do you get mad when we tell you?
It's
I
slick.
told you the
It's
only
slick.
person that gets mad when we tell you how smart you are. You're the
I'm
only
dumb.
one.
Morgan, you got a question back?
Come on up here, Morgan. And then we're gonna go to Laura because she raised her
All right.
hand.
I want to give an alternative definition for
Look at the camera. Come up here.
Oh, okay.
Come up here.
God dang it.
Sit on the couch with us. Come. All right.
Is there room?
Morgan
Wait,
is
no,
a lender with
did you
Foundation
invite me to the
Mortgage.
couch?
What's
3
that?
years of this, I've never sat on the couch.
Let's go. You come on down.
Yeah, come on, get up
All
here.
right,
Come on,
Big Daddy.
come on
See
down. You
Santa.
can be Robin
Here
and
we go.
Batman.
Here
All
is
right.
my alternative definition
Next
of a good
Commissioner
deal.
Gordon.
It is one that I feel that I have done all the knowledge searching that I feel that I need to do, that I feel good. Like the next day after I've done that research, I'm like, I still like myself. I still feel like I've done a good work of looking at the data on this. And then knowing that if you're wrong, it doesn't change your lifestyle. And it's that simple. Done things that I thought were brilliant deals. They fell apart, but it didn't change my lifestyle. And so I still think it was a good deal, even though I didn't execute on it correctly.
I love it. Laura, what was your question? Okay.
To lend to somebody, and the green hat over here asked,
So Dan asked, how do I know it's a good or Daniel asked,
or next to
good
Dan.
idea to lend to someone?
Yeah, like
Yeah.
what should I do to make sure that I'm careful in lending?
Here,
And my comment was going to be much like Dan's, where like obviously you get a contract, you collateralize, you get a deed of trust, and you do all the things that you're supposed to check the boxes for. But the number one thing you can do is know the person personally and vet the property yourself. If what is collateralized, and then play the tape forward. What if it goes south? What's going to happen? What is going to happen if I have to pull the contract and execute all the things when it goes bad? Because in any deal that you do, whether it's just buying a property, like it can always go south. So I think it's just like looking at it from all perspectives, and what are your outs? Are there multiple outs? And what do you do if everything goes wrong?
I look at everything through the lens of relationships, right? So COVID, anybody buy a place during COVID? Anybody shop during COVID? Really hectic, right? There was all these lines out there. As an agent, it could be really frustrating. So I'm working with somebody, they're a first-time home buyer. They're losing constantly. That could suck. COVID's awesome if you got cash buyers, right? My goal is I want to work with the best in the market. It's a big market. There are lots of people. I love you, hardworking people. Please keep working hard with difficult clients. God bless you, right? Keep working marginal deals. God bless you. Someone's got to work them, right? I want to work with the best, and I would just look at deal flow, right? Lance gets mentioned. If you don't know Lance, you should know Lance. Lance is doing a lot of deals. So if Lance has one go sideways, like, all right, brother, let's make it whole in the next one, right? Let's put it back in. There's enough runway there for him to catch up. Dan to the same, right? Dan is like lending private money. Like Dan took a $150K lick. Dan is still sitting here in the room, right? He was somebody in the arena that was able to bounce back. And so just like it's maybe not betting on, right? Look at athletes. Maybe I don't bet on my buddy that I grew up with and put all my money into him to like be a world-class restaurateur. Maybe I bet on a known commodity. So I am often looking at like my whole career is based off like, what if I could just partner with the best? What if I'm going to throw an event? What if I could just get the best speakers? What if I could just go make friends with the people that are the CEOs on stage and then connect them with other people and just learn from the best? That seems a lot easier. And so that's my advice would just be, to your point.
So one thing I would
can I
say
vet someone
too,
that has deal flow?
let's say you're lending your own money, okay, and you're taking the risk to do that. I would look at it as a lender would look at lending money, right? So checking credit, right? I mean, if you're lending money to someone and
Yes.
now they can do a self-reported credit report. You have to be a credit agency to actually run their credit, but they can run their own credit. But you wouldn't want to lend somebody money without knowing what that looks like, right? And
Define your fund box. I had a deal presented to me recently. I just said no. She couldn't answer the questions. If you don't know the ARV, don't know the exit, I'm not your guy because you don't know what you're doing yet, right? Define your fund box just like define your buy box. If it's in your buy box, you buy, right? Fund box, same thing. Define what you want and make sure it fits there. I don't go outside of my fund box.
What questions do we have about finding money? You talked about, we're going to tell you exactly where to find money, who has a question in here in the audience about that came here with something specific that hasn't been answered yet? Because we could go down, a lot of rabbit holes, but I want to make sure if you came in here, we leave with some specific answers for you.
Yes, sir. I've got one, and excuse my ignorance. If you're looking for a deal and you're trying to find those numbers, what parties or who do you trust to find like the renovations cost value so that you know what your profit margins are going to be?
Were you here last month?
I was not. This is my
Okay,
first time.
last month was a
I'm so sorry.
No, you're good. I was here, and then I got margaritas, right? Loved them. Yeah. So last month was all about general contractors and how to vet people, how to look at deals. And Lance and other people I know in here, they bring their contractor with them. Yeah. You find a great contractor, that contractor is going to go with you, and they can see stuff that we can't. Like, I put my numbers on it. The contractor's like, dude, you're at 135,000 rehab. I'm at 105. I'm like, all right, I trust your numbers better than me because I don't do it for a living. Bring your contractor.
And so the person that you're trying to get the money from is going to trust that contractor as well, as far as the numbers?
Everyone's different, but the contractor we use, I trust him. He's gone to deals with me. Lance and I are partnered on deals. I trust Lance. I have the contract. I trust Brandon. Brandon knows what he's doing. He was on stage last time. Jose was awesome too. He just had a baby, I heard. So congratulate him if you see him.
Jose in Montana did just have a baby.
Yeah. So
little girl.
Bring your contractor with you. They will give you a rough number, and then he'll probably say, "Hey, I'll get you a finite number later," and then you can pick that apart before you go into it. But trust a contractor and vet them. Yep. Don't be like Brandon Clark.
Skylar, I want to mention one thing to that. You asked who's going to be okay with those. Now, is the lenders going to be okay with those numbers? It depends on which lending channel you're in. If you're in hard money, the lender is only going to look at, is this project going to exit at the amount that I think is going to be exited for the amount of money that's lended against it? They're going to be shooting for that no more than 70% of loan lended against the property, and the rehab budget only sort of matters to them. They're more interested in your personal financial standing because you're on the hook, okay? Now, outside of hard money, when you go back to what we call agency, conventional, like Fannie Freddie, FHA, all that loans. The risk profile shifts. The contractor has to be licensed, papered. It's no longer trusting you as the person to manage the project and pick the right people with your own risk tolerance for it. They're shifting risk onto the contractor because that contractor has to submit a budget to a neutral third party that's going to look over those numbers and say that they're reasonable, because the contractor at that point is carrying risk. So that's one reason in agency stuff. So if you're doing a construction loan or a rehab loan, a conventional Fannie, Freddie, FHA, they will occasionally advance, on most of their programs, they will advance the contractor at closing some money. That never happens, almost never happens at hard money, because the risk profile is just different. They're expecting you to front the contractor because you're carrying the risk. Does that help?
Always ask the lender, because my experience is the exact opposite, where they do front you the money. So every lender is different, so you have to ask those questions before you close, because if they don't give you the money up front, like he said, you need to make sure you have that money. But if your lender does up front it, like several do, you need to know that. So always ask those key questions when you're talking to a Morgan, saying, hey, do you guys do this up front or not? And if he tells you, then base your decision off of with your strategy. Okay.
Thank y'all so much.
One of the things to be aware of with private money is you're going to be held to your budget on a line item basis. So if I go to a private money lender typically and I submit a renovation budget, right, and I've padded it in the wrong places, I can go get a draw. So, hey, I went and I completed and I got the roof done. I can, depending on the lender, I can do mini draws. But there's usually a draw fee and there's a turnaround time there to incentivize, so you're not constantly doing draws. There's like a happy medium. But I can only get the amount of money allocated for that line item. So, great. Oh, man, I got all this padding in my flooring budget, but I went way over in my roofing budget. When I complete the flooring, I can get all that money, and great, there's like a delta there, but I'm not going to be able to get it on the roof. They're not going to overpay beyond that line item estimate when I'm doing those draws. I'm only going to get paid on completed items. So that's why it is kind of important to, like, hey, make sure you're allocating these funds correctly. You're not just doing the contractor thing where it's $10,000 and you're just throwing, I'm not really paying attention to where the line items actually fall.
One thing, little foundational, that
RJ
in hard
Lance's-
money, the money's going to you as a person when you do a draw, not the contractor. That's flipped around in conventional bank world. Those construction, right, they go to the
Yep.
contractor.
Lance, what's your question, sir? And I see William in the back. Come on up here, bud.
I just wanted to kind of dovetail on something you just touched on, because I've had to do that. But there's also something that hard money lenders will force you to do as a borrower. They will force you to have a contingency budget.
Yes.
Because
Yep, and you can tap that contingency.
yeah. And so making sure that you have enough contingency budget is important as well. I'm finishing a project right now and my contingency budget was light.
Yep, mine
so
too.
yeah. And it's
Turned
not
out
fun.
great, though.
It's not fun when you need more money and it ain't there.
Yeah.
To Paula's question earlier, we all get presented in life with opportunities, but not every opportunity is a deal. So that's one thing that I've heard that I really latched onto. So just because somebody says this is a deal, no, it's an opportunity until you define it as a deal, right? To Justin's point earlier. And then lastly, is Zane still here? Yoda? Zane Fair, there he is. I live by these words that fell out of his mouth, and he probably threw them out, and he didn't even think how much impact they would have. But try not, when you look at a deal, if you think, or let's call it an opportunity, because not all opportunities are equal. Try to talk yourself out of doing the deal rather than talking yourself into doing the deal. Because I've fallen into that trap more times than I care to remember. So I literally look at anything I look at now as like that. And taking my contractor with me, he's told me, I've said, I think the rehab is 50 or 60. And he like, No, it's going to be about 120, and then poof, it's not a deal anymore because the rehab budget was. So that's why it's important to take your contractor. Because if I take myself,
Lance, how many deals do you look at a month?
oh God, at least I try to shake hands with every wholesaler I can meet. I probably get at least 1 to 5 sent to me every single day.
Yeah. And so just keep in mind, like, there's a grind to everything you do.
Yes.
If you want to do private lending, go back and watch Chris and Flint talking about it. The grind is underwriting and servicing. If I want to go be a deal junkie, the grind is like, am I sourcing leads? There is no free money in this game. It's just what kind of grind lights you up and you're like, oh, this doesn't feel like work. I enjoy doing this thing. Thank you for that point, and I'll go to you right there. Is opportunity cost is one of the most important things in investing. When I say yes to one thing, I am saying no to everything else. When I put my money into this one deal, I am saying no. If it's all the capital I have, I'm saying no to all the other potential deals that could come across. When I settle for some buster because I don't have standards in a relationship, I am saying no to all the other wonderful people that could come and enter into my life. This is real. When I hang out with loser friends, right? I'm missing out. I'm saying no to all the other things that I could do in my life. Opportunity cost is like, that's the one thing as a father that I try to drill into my daughter at an early age. If we stay at the park, we don't have time for ice cream. You get to choose. This is all life, but there's always a trade-off.
My bad.
So one thing I would say is, like Tim and I've had this conversation, sometimes you might not have the capital and you don't have the time or the partnership to do the next deal, but you can find the deal. So what do? Take today's money, get your bird dog fee, come to a community like this and say, hey, I have a potential flip. I'm still waiting. And say, here you go, and I'll pay him a bird dog fee. You can make money any way in this business. It's a game of inches, right? We've all seen Every Given Sunday. I think this is the football movie, right? Was I even close on that? Yeah, there we go. Thank you. So that's just a game of inches. Get paid your bird dog fee. Give it to someone like Lance, someone like Morgan out there, and get your quick today's money and just move on.
I wanted to speak what he said on opportunity cost because that's why I don't personally flip properties anymore. I've never lost dollars on a flip, hard dollars, but I've lost time. And I didn't make enough money with those flips to compensate for both the time and trouble that I did. And it's not because that I think the flips were bad or that it's bad value. I'm just not the right manager for them. I'm not the right. Yeah.
Nick, appreciate you coming.
No, I appreciate you saying that, and just be aware of that. Is like you get there and you see shiny object and you see other people making money.
It does make me happy to say that because now he spends all his time doing loans, right?
William Ricker, you get the last question. Make it good. No pressure.
Travis,
you got the
these
mic
guys.
in your
Go ahead.
hand.
I guess on the loan terms, so like when I built my house, because you kind of brought it up, they didn't, I guess, directly give me my draws, my percentages. And then when I finally did see that percentage, it didn't really line up with the budget I even gave the bank. So
This is on you're doing a construction perm loan?
Yeah.
And you were acting as like your own contractor?
Yeah, as my GC.
Yep.
So then once of course, I self-funded a lot of my home. But then when I had to go to the bank for a draw, they were like, oh, you're over on this percentage. So to your point, they wouldn't give me more. So I had to wait to the next draw to basically pay myself back. But with that, are you able to like ask the bank, what's the draw terms? And then can you negotiate those? Because the other issue I had was like doors and windows. The guy that inspects your home, appraiser or whatever, the appraiser, he would not give me the draw because I didn't have garage doors in on framing. That's not a thing, you know. So that's what I was wondering if there's like clarification that you can do within the loan.
I'll let the lenders take that one.
So we don't do a ton of construction loans, so I'm probably not the expert on this, but I do know that the draw periods are really going to be, it's going to be heavily influenced by that inspector or by the appraiser. You know, a lot of that's going to be subjective. They're not necessarily going to do what you want them to do. So now,
I would ask Jesse right behind you. Jesse's building a lot, right, Jesse? And Jesse probably has some experience on draw management and funding management.
Well, you need to clarify. You were building your primary home, correct?
Yeah, but I was building my primary home, but it was a general question for like even hard money, or if you were getting it through an institution, like can you request the draw percentages and then negotiate those draw percentages? Because
you can.
I think that's where some people get into some
depends.
issues.
It's lender to lender. Like we have a developer in the Smokies that's negotiating, and we did some unique stuff for him because it's private money. And so that was unique to us for him because of who he is. So you need to ask each lender individually and pick who you go with based on that.
Are we talking about, so September we're going to cover fundamentals of new construction and go into this and why construction is different, right? There's advantages, disadvantages. When in construction, and Jesse could nod or give thumbs up or not, right? It's about like schedule management, draw management. That's if you manage the draws well, you're like, oh my God, I'm the greatest builder. If the draws are like terrible, you're like, now I lost a week and the framing crew's on another one and my timelines aren't adding up, right? And that's how it's taken me 9 months on this project when I thought I could do it in 6 months because I got on my own crews or something, which would be crazy to do it 6 months, right? So construction perm is going to depend on that lender as well. Basically, private, you're going to pay higher, have more flexibility.
Yeah,
is just what is a general rule. Not always the case, but you're going to have a little more flexibility. And I think private, one of the big advantages is if you find the right person, is draws.
But it's something that you could ask that lender, like,
Yep.
I want your draw terms, because I feel like that's where a lot of, like, when I'm doing flips and remodels, feel like that's where some of these guys get into trouble, because like you said, they went over on project A, but they have a surplus in B. Well, you're coming in kind of in between.
Well, generally speaking, let's say you go through approach. If I go through approach, I can send them, and I have a track record, I could send them photos of the completed work and they can fund the draw.
Yeah.
But I've got to get the work completed so I could fund it. If I'm doing new construction, it's a different process, like.
I've had experience with a couple of different HMLs, and it'll differ between lenders. I've had some that, number one, they didn't really care that much. They didn't look at my budget super closely, and so I put up to my ARV limit. I knew roughly what we had appraised for, so I took the potential amount that I could be lended all the way up to the cap. And I basically did a percentage pad across my categories because, you got to put your budget and you got to itemize it out, right? And the whole intent of that was that I could run ahead of my project on the reimbursements because I'm not giving the lender receipts, right? If I spent $4,000 on a door and I budgeted $5,000, they're going to give me $5,000.
Well, yeah, the lender wants to lend you that money,
right?
Because they're making, the more they lend you, the more money they make. So they're not trying not to make you the money. They want to hedge their risk.
But I think the important thing is that you make sure that you have the availability of capital all the way up to your limit, even if you don't draw it. The calculus on doing that depends on, there's a thing called Dutch interest and non-Dutch interest. Some lenders will charge you from day one that you close the loan your entire potential amount of funding. So your purchase price plus your entire rehab budget, even that which you haven't drawn yet. And some will only charge you for your purchase loan plus the amount that you've drawn against your rehab proceeds. In other words, your actual loan amount at any given time. Which approach to choose if you want to try to max out the amount that they will lend you against the property. Your decision on that depends on the terms. The wisdom of that decision depends on the terms of the Dutch interest versus non-Dutch interest.
And generally speaking, to wrap this up, let's thank Nathan. A big hand for Nathan coming out here. Thank you, Morgan. Thank you, Nick, for pouring into us. Like, the reason why we explain these general concepts, why everything is like in a framework, where it's like a 101, or we have these things, is like, I need to understand how these pieces fit together generally, and then almost every question I have, I need specific answers. Like it's asking for like specific answers. I never get those things. Like let's talk through this specific scenario and what it is, but without that general understanding, you don't fit. I watch people do it. They only ask hyper-specific questions, and they never want to become a generalist, and there's no framework for the knowledge to stick in their head and to synthesize information, right, and learn over time. So that's why we teach some of those frameworks. But sometimes if you got a very specific question, you may need to sit down with like, hey, walk me through, because it is like every answer really is like, it depends, right, from our lenders here. Any final words, Mr. Batman?
I would say everything depends. Like you said, don't generalize. I mean,
there we go. Thank you. That's
just to have the last word.
Well, the last word I was going to say, would it be beneficial if we did a webinar?
My last word
for
as a
more
lender is
detail?
it depends. Yes, that's what I was telling you guys.
It
Like-
truly does, because anything can work, right?
No, thank you for validating my thesis. No, it does. It does depend. However, that being said, like we have done one-offs. We have done, Nathan Loves calls it game film. We have sitting down, broken down deals, walked through them, answered them, broken down. Here's all the ways you could do it through other lenders that are not me.
Gone to Jackie's.
Yes, yeah. So if you want to do that, if that's helpful, happy to get started on Investing 101. A couple things for you before you go. If you are trying to do this, flip, don't flop. This is a program we offer here at Kaza. We will come out and we will help you. So how do I determine all these things? Find a good partner. Someone's got to sell it for you anyways. And you could use your niece who just got her license. I'll pay her a referral. Use a pro. We'll save you thousands. You can buy her something nice with the money you don't lose on this flip. All right? Because when you lose all your money, you're not going to be able to give her any commission. Okay? We'll give you the ARV. We will walk through there. We'll look at the inspection for you. We'll talk through funding with you. We'll do some design consultation. We have a preferred contractor list. Take a look around. That's the list, guys. We cheat. We got access to grid. We have our list that we use for our renovations. Connect with these guys. Follow them. Nathan wants you to follow him on LinkedIn and send him memes. Apparently, are you on LinkedIn, bro? You active on there? You shitpost? We got your LinkedIn up there. Yeah. Nathan posts inspirational things on LinkedIn about what he learned. ChatGPT articles. I'm making things up. These are inside LinkedIn jokes. Yes, Duke. You're talking about Dutch interest, yes, sir. I mean, you know, they disclose the terms on the front end. Get through the project fast. Yeah, like that's what it is. Like, you know, yeah. Shoot, if I know I was gonna get through a project in 2 months, I might pay 16% interest. I'd come out ahead if I didn't pay points. Like sometimes you can take a much higher interest rate if you know you can crank through a project. This is all Nick's information. Follow him on social. You know, I want to thank Nick and Megan. Like we were over at Keller Williams, and I remember we did show me the money. And we packed out the room. There was like 45 people who were standing in the hallways, and we needed more space. And we saw the work that Megan was doing with the brand agency. And I made a very tactical decision. No offense to Nick. I was like, Megan is the best marketer, I think, in Knoxville. So could I just go partner with the best marketer? Yeah, give her a hand. I think she's incredible. Could I just go partner with the best marketer and grow Grid? And then I came over here and we had 125 people in the room because she invited 70 people.
Does that mean Nick's the best closer if he landed?
Yeah, 100%. 100%. I don't know. Look at that. I don't know about that. Look at that dreamboat. They seem kind of equally matched. He's a hottie. No. And so I just share that, like, I'm not exaggerating when I say I go try to find the best and partner with the best. That is the easy button in life. Like, get into relationship with the people. You know, if Daniel asked a great question, you're like, that guy's really smart. Yeah. He's our property manager sponsor. Go talk to him. He's building a good business. He's got some great content about like why he's building this property management business. He has an investing thesis. Like you can learn. William back there is my plumber. He's got a great mind for business. Like Jen is a very, very sharp lawyer, and she's also a nerd. Like there's people I can learn from in the room. Like go get in relationship with them. Mine them for information. All right. We love you guys. We appreciate you. Next month, we are talking about creative real estate investing strategies, owner financing, and I want to thank finally Morgan Hardy. Morgan, more than anyone who is not part of the Grid team, shows up, pours in, answers questions, is a great asset. If you've not talked to Morgan, Morgan loves talking about loans, and he is a loan nerd, and he's just an incredibly sharp guy overall. So thank you, Morgan, for being here. We appreciate you.
Absolutely my pleasure. And make sure everyone needs to try Paola's sandwiches back there on
Paola,
the table.
what do we got there?
They are delicious.
We got some Cuban. What are they called? We got some Cuban bocaditos from Paola Palais. For the record, I'm gonna poll the room. Should Paola change her name to Paula for all the Knoxville people, or she should go by Paola? Paola, exactly. Thank you. Paola is on our team. Thank you so much for coming out. We appreciate you. We'll see some of you on Saturday for Investing 101, and we'll do Grid Coffee Friday, April 17th. Be excellent, y'all.